And sorry, the recording started. So my name is Tikkie Barnard, and I'm the founder and CEO of Shift Impact Africa and the Shared Value Africa Initiative. And welcome to the African Universities Gender Equality Forum, organized by the team from the Shared Value Africa Initiative and the It's Not Okay movement. Our dialogue and meeting today is in support of the UN Women's 16 Days of Activism. And that actually starts today. So we all called upon to unite and end the violence against women and girls. So just to take a step back, for those of you that are not familiar with the work, our work as the Shared Value Africa Initiative, we started the It's Not Okay movement to create awareness of gender-based violence and femicide and gender inequality, as we believe it's not okay. So we also believe that the slogan, It's Not Okay, is very powerful and can be used in so many ways. So just some examples. Violence is not okay. Violence is not okay. Gender inequality is not okay. And you can use it in so many ways that you just to actually express the fact that certain behaviors are not okay. So the It's Not Okay belongs to all of us, and we have the right to speak up if something is not okay. So we're going to be together for approximately an hour and a half today. And when conceptualizing today's meeting, we decided to do it a bit differently. So we want you as our audiences to participate today and ask questions from our speakers. If you have questions, you have to just raise your hand, and our technical team will ask you to unmute, put your camera on, and ask a question. All we ask from you is to keep it short and to the point. So check your sound, get your self-camera ready, as we want to hear your voices and your questions. And there'll be 6 opportunities to ask questions. So please, I also want to ask you to follow us on Twitter and on Facebook, and go to our website, www.itsnotokay.africa. And the hashtag for today is #It'sNotOkay and #Unite. Gender-based violence and gender inequality are uncomfortable topics. And most of the time we shy away from it. Or if we experience or witness it, we keep quiet, as it's not, and we all know that that's not okay. I want to reach out to all of us today to please make a commitment, to please break the silence, because if we don't, the perpetrators think it's okay, and we all know it's not okay. To all the mothers out there, please, please do not send your daughters back to an abusive relationship, because it's not okay, and she can end up dying. So, and mothers, let's not keep quiet when our daughters have been abused, as he will do it to somebody else's daughter if we don't speak up. And that's not okay. We need to protect each other and stop protecting the perpetrators with our silence, as it's not okay. And today's proceedings, we're very blessed to have new thought leaders speaking out for the first time about what we are doing. Oopsie, sorry, my phone, I forgot to put off. Today we're very blessed to have new thought leaders speaking out for the first time about what they are doing to support women and children in the fight against gender-based violence and gender inequality. Speakers from universities across the continent, South Africa, Ghana, Cameroon, Kenya, and Rwanda. And the purpose of today is for these individuals to share their work with us and to hopefully inspire us to do the same if we are not already doing something to end violence against women and girls. And each of our thought readers will get 6 minutes to present their work and inspire us. And after that, the audience will get an opportunity to ask questions. So first up for us today, we're going to Kenya, and our first keynote is Lina Gashoki-Gia from Strathmore University Business School in Kenya. And Lina is part of the leadership and management faculty, and she's also a PhD student specializing in organizational behavior and human talent management with a focus on gender diversity. Lina is also the course leader for Women in Leadership program at Strathmore Business School. So Lena today is going to share with us why she believes that gender equality goes beyond a good business case or economic empowerment, and that there's a role for preparing our students as they transition from universities to the workplace, because they are our future leaders. So Lena, welcome, and over to you, and thank you for being with us today.
Thank you very much, Tiki. It's my pleasure to be here. I'm very excited about this forum. And when you asked me to speak on this day, it took me back to many years ago when I was starting out my career. Initially, I wanted to actually study law. And I wanted to be a lawyer because I wanted to defend women who were going through gender-based violence. I come from central Kenya, and I grew up in the rural areas of central Kenya, and I observed women being violated, being beaten up by their husbands. And I remember hearing that they cannot move out. They have to persevere because of the children. And I always felt there's something wrong about that. So they were still in the abusive marriages because they had no economic empowerment. And that were some of the reasons why I wanted to pursue law, to defend them. But then the life has its twists, and I ended up not doing law. And here I am doing my PhD with a focus on gender diversity. And so when you asked me to speak, it just took me the journey back. It's true, I didn't become a lawyer, but I want to put my voice into this through academia. So when I only began this journey last year. And one of the things I did as I was doing my coursework is to interview a few women who are in the STEM careers, because I thought there have been a lot of emphasis on enrollment into the STEM courses. And I wouldn't say we are there yet. In fact, there was a UNESCO report that was released this year, whereas we have good news that women enrollment in tertiary education has exceeded the number of male. And I would leave that to the people listening here to see, is it good? Is it bad? Is that where we want to go? However, there's still gender inequality in the STEM fields. There's still gender inequality in representation of senior academic positions. There's still gender inequality when it comes to institution governance bodies. So when you look at this, and maybe just to define what's my understanding of gender equality, and for me, it's on the premise of women and men have equal dignity. And for this, they should have equal opportunities in the workplace, And beyond gender equality, there's the aspect of gender equity, fair treatment of men and women based on their individual requirements, And this treatment could be equal, could be different, but then it should be deemed equivalent in terms of rights, benefits, obligations, and opportunities. So having said that, back to the case study that I did, and I interviewed some women in the construction sector, and one of them was initially a clerk of works, but now has moved from being a clerk of works to being a project manager in the construction industry, and the other one was a civil engineer. And so when I spoke to them, the one who was a clerk of works and moved to becoming a project manager, I asked her, why did you move? And she told me it was just too much for me. The working hours were wrong. We would have meetings at the site at night. I am a mother of a young family. There's a time I was at the site alone and the workers were unruly, and I was so worried, what will they do to me? And she told me I couldn't take it anymore. I wanted to stay in the construction industry, but I had to change my role. Then I spoke to the engineer and she told me, I've been in the industry for the last 14 years. But the truth is, I don't know whether I would tell my daughter to join this industry, because it has had its wins, but also the losses have been many for me. I've faced sexism remarks. And at the time I was speaking to her, she told me that she was going to be the consultant engineer for one of their big jobs. But then when they went for a meeting, when the client saw that she was to be the engineer of that project, he politely asked to speak to their boss. And eventually she was removed from that project. So for me, all these things, it's not okay, because it seems, yes, we may be making strides when it comes to enrollment of women into the tertiary institutions, but are we transitioning? Do we have 100% transitions into the job market? And while we are in the job market, how is the progression? Yeah. Do we only have many women at entry level? Are they progressing to the top levels? Yeah. There have been a lot of research again around women on boards, and it has been showing good performance for boards that have women, meaning there is something women bring to the table. But why is it that we are not progressing at the rate that we should progress? And for me, that's where my interest is as a researcher, and that is where I want to contribute. So for me, inclusion in the workplace is very important. And inclusion here is more of also a sense of belonging. If I am in this STEM career, do I feel I belong? Do I feel I contribute? And based on all this, that's why we have the Women in Leadership program at Strathmore University, a program that started way back in 2010. And we realized that in the executive education programs we would have either one lady or two lady at middle level. We had programs for middle level managers. We had program for senior managers. So we thought, what can we do then to help the women in the workplace, to arm them? So in that space, we teach women that where you're in the workplace, you don't need to change, or you don't need to become aggressive. You can still be feminine and lead. You can still be feminine also and provide opportunities for other women to lead. And also just bringing to the forefront to the women that negotiate your worth. Sometimes we tend not to negotiate our worth. So negotiate your worth, ask for what you're worth, and when opportunities come knocking, say yes, then get in there and give your best. And as I finish, just to encourage each one of us who's here, that the effort is not wasted despite the numbers that are not sometimes very optimistic. But my challenge to each one of us who's here is, what are you doing to make a difference? For me, is my research, and I believe my research will help institutions see the best way to include women. I hope my research also will contribute to change of policies in our country. And to finish off, I have a video here that I would want to leave you with, a story narrated by one of the women in Kenya that I really admire, Wangari Maathai. And it's the story of the hummingbird. She was a Nobel laureate who passed on a number of years ago. So please, is it Buya? Help me play that video.
We are constantly being bombarded by problems that we face, and sometimes we can get completely overwhelmed. The story of the hummingbird is about this huge forest being consumed by a fire. All the animals in the forest come out and they are transfixed as they watch the forest burning, and they feel very overwhelmed, very powerless, except this little hummingbird. It says, I'm going to do something about the fire. So it flies to the nearest stream, takes a drop of water, and it puts it on the fire and goes up and down, up and down, up and down, as fast as it can. In the meantime, all the other animals, much bigger animals like the elephant with a big trunk, could bring much more water. They are standing there helpless, and they are saying to the hummingbird, what do you think you can do? You're too little. This fire is too big. Your wings are too little. And you're big, so small. You can only bring a small drop of water at a time. But as they continue to discourage it, it turns to them without wasting any time and tells them, I am doing the best I can. And that to me is what all of us should do. We should always feel like a hummingbird. I may feel insignificant, but I certainly don't want to be like the animals watching as the planet goes down the drain. I will be a hummingbird. I will do the best I can.
Okay, thank you very much. And over to you, Tiki.
Sound. Thank you, Lena, for that. And I think there's so many questions that you raised today, and I'm really looking forward to your research. You know, why are women not progressing at the same rate as men? Is it because of gender bias? You know, when we appoint people to certain positions, you know, and we get 4 CVs and 2 from men and 2 from women, and your HR department tends to just inborn and naturally, because that's what society has told us, you know, that men will be better at the jobs than what we are. I also wanted to comment on what you said is, why can't we negotiate, you know what I mean, our own worth? And I think that sometimes it's something about us women. I don't know if you agree with me, Lena, but I think it's sometimes us women, you know what I mean, that can't see our own worth, you know. So yeah, I wanted to ask if there's anybody in the audience that maybe have a question for Lena, because Lena, I'm really looking forward to your research, you know, and hopefully we're going to be working on it together, you know. So yeah, so I wanted to find out if there's anybody from the audience that maybe want to put up a hand and ask Lena a question about her research, or some, you know, the women leadership course at Strathmore Business School. So Lena, I wanted to ask you maybe just from the course that you do at for women at Strathmore. I mean, how long is that? Is that a one-day course? Is it a 3 months course? How long is it?
So it's a 4-day course, and we're actually doing it in, just 4 days. We are actually doing it in the East Africa region. We do it in Uganda, in Rwanda, and in Tanzania. And for us, I can tell you, we've seen women raising, we've seen women being promoted. And out of that course, because we've picked a lot of feedback, we have had other courses. We have a women directors program that is preparing directors, you know, future CEOs, because right now we are under 15% women CEOs of companies that are listed in our stock exchange. That's not a good number at all, yet we have capable women. So we have a women directors leadership program, which is a year. That program is a year divided in 1-week modules. And we also have what we call a board readiness program, because sometimes when we run program for directors, the men would say, but where are women? We don't have capable women to be at the board, which I think it's a bias. So we have the board readiness program, which prepares women for board positions so that there is no excuse. People are prepared, they can sit in those boards.
Okay, so thank you. Thank you. I agree with you. Nobody must ever tell me that there is no woman to be appointed as CEOs, because they are there. It's just that you can't see them, Mr. CEO. So, so Lena, there's a question from Prof. Corné Davis. And she was involved in our research this year. I mean, she was the lead researcher, and she's just asking, have you got what is your theoretical framework that you are going to be using for your study? I'm not sure if you're that far down the line yet, but if you can maybe just answer that sort of very quickly in 1 minute before we move on. Thank you.
Well, I am still trying to figure that out. Let me say that I am still trying to figure that out. Yeah.
Okay.
But
okay,
I've been thinking a lot around the social role theory, but I haven't settled yet. Yeah.
Okay, so maybe we can even connect you with Prof. Corné as well, because she's at the University of Johannesburg, and I'm a great believer in connecting people to each other from that perspective. Okay. So Lena, I'm going to say goodbye to you. I know you have to go, but thank you very much, for sharing with us what you're doing at Strathmore University. And next up, we're going to go to Ghana. So, and we're going to, I think I know my next speaker is Priscilla Sewa Jesse from Kumasi in Ghana. So can Priscilla join me on screen, please, Zinnia? So just a little bit about Priscilla. She's currently studying educational innovation and leadership science for her MPhil, or her master's in philosophy at the Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology. And Priscilla wears many hats. And through her work, she empowers young girls through digital and business development. And today she's going to talk to us about her work and what she's doing to bridge that digital gender gap with young female students, and all her other work that she's doing as well. And a little bit of a fun fact about Priscilla is that she's also an enthusiastic baker. So she introduces herself sometimes as Kekura, which means cake seller. Did I pronounce that right, Priscilla? So you need to unmute. Yeah, so over to you, and remember, Priscilla, you've got 6 minutes, and then from the audience, please, if you've got any questions when you hear about Priscilla's work, please put up your hand afterwards so we can engage with you from that perspective. So Priscilla, welcome, and thank you for being here today, and thank you for the work that you're doing with the young girls. And tell us a little bit about your journey and why you're doing what you do.
Thank you very much, Tiki. I'm super grateful for this opportunity. Let me start from here. You commented on my post yesterday, and I think most of the things I will talk about would be around that. When you said, if we increase gender equality, we can reduce gender-based violence. That yesterday was something to me. And this is how I'm helping with my office and my colleagues to help reduce gender-based violence. Somewhere 2016, I met where I'm working through a mutual friend. Currently, I'm working at a tech camp. It's called Kumasi Hive. We train youth and people in business development skills as well as digital skills. When we came in, coming from a home economics background, here in Ghana, when we say home economics, is food and nutrition and the like. And people have sort of a stigmatization for you academically if you choose home economics, because it's assumed that you are kind of dull. It's like doing vocational skills in school. But luckily for me, I got someone who felt it wasn't okay for people to think that way. So he brought me into the tech space, trusted me. And when he trusted me in my activities, how was I going to also help others and what they do to help colleague females and what they do? We brought the initiative Bridge the Gap. So basically the Bridge the Gap was to bridge the digital gender divide between the male gender and the female gender, or male sex or the female sex. The Bridge the Gap since 2017 has been training females in all sort of digital skills, being it web development, AI, data science, digital media, and the likes. And this is how my activities has been helping Ken UST. We extended what we were doing in our communities at the hub to the universities, because we realized that at the universities, females were getting the theoretical aspect of the digital science skills, but not the practical aspects. So we had arrangements with the universities. We took the trainings there. I think one of my projects, which was sponsored by the EU under the Horizon 2020, which was the Carables project, took girls through 3D modeling and fabrication, 3D printing, and others took them through web development, 3D modeling, digital media, digital marketing activities. One thing we realized was the enthusiasm of these females were different. Initially, we thought they may not be okay with it, because listening to how people talk about females and digital skills. But it was different. It was quite the opposite of what we saw. And it told a story. For once, we could get people going through universities to do programs they didn't even start with. And they had to master in things they hadn't thought of doing, because they had people to take them through a 6 months digital skills program, a 1 year digital skills program to change their perspective, to enter into that field. Now these females are doing professional activities and their digital skills. So since they are economically stable, I don't think anyone could come around to abuse them, because now they know what they are doing, they know what they are about, and they are not ready to give in for whoever feels could abuse them to do that now. So I still stand by your word, Tiki. If we increase gender inequality, we can equally reduce the gender-based violence, being it economically, being it educationally, being it all angles. Thank you very much.
Okay, so thank you for that, Priscilla. I'm so glad that it resonates with you as well, because it's something that we've been advocating, that if we can get gender equality right, and if we look at research, one of the research reports, a very well-known one, states that we can add $12 trillion to the global GDP if we can get gender equality right. And I think for me, that's why we're so set on the fact that if we get gender equality right, we will reduce gender-based violence, because women will be more economically empowered. Because in a lot of cases, Priscilla, you were talking about it now, about digital skills. We've been taught the theoretical side, but not the practical side. And the thing is, if we can equip our women to have access to information, they can make more informed decisions. I'm sure you'll agree with me on that. What I wanted to ask you though, Priscilla, do you have you know what I mean, like a success story, or maybe somebody that you followed that started her own business, or maybe she did something or started right? You know, I just wanted to ask if you've got something like that that you can share with us before I ask the audience if they've got a question. Sorry, I'm just talking.
Yes, I have someone I always look up to. Unfortunately, or should I say fortunately, is Emil. And he understood it's not okay. He's Prince Boadu. I think he even shared this opportunity with me. He's grown to trust me in what I do. He's grown to believe my activities here. And he's one person personally I look up to. His mentorship has no boundaries.
No.
His love for me has no boundaries. And he's one person I will always look up to in my activities.
Yeah, thank you for that. Mentorship is very, very important, Priscilla. And I want to say thank you again for being here today and sharing what you do. And I wanted to wish you well with your studies, with your master's in philosophy. And thank you for the work that you do. And I hope that the baking also goes well. Okay, so
thank you very much. When we meet, I'll give you cake. Don't worry.
Thank you, Priscilla. Okay, so we're moving back now, and look at me. I didn't ask for a question from the audience, so please remind me if I don't allow you to speak up, because we do want our audience to participate today and ask questions. So we're coming back to South Africa now. And our next speaker is Dr. Sizakele Danke from the University of South Africa. So Sizakele's got a list of academic qualifications in education. But what we found very interesting is Sizakele's current work on widowhood. Sizakele currently leads the research on exploring widowhood issues in marginalized communities. She also leads in Gauteng, and she's also leading another community research project on widowhood issues in Southern Africa. And in 2020, Sizakele won the Feroza Adams Woman of the Year Award that was awarded by the UNISA's Women's Forum, in recognition of the work Sizakele is doing in the space of widowhood issues in South Africa. And you know, Sizakele, I just went and did a little bit of research, and I looked at I looked at India, where they have 55 million widows after COVID. And for families, widows are seen as a liability in India and another mouth to feed, and even sometimes accused of being responsible for their husband's death. And I don't think here on the Africa continent, it's much better, especially the behavior of other women towards our widows. So I want to ask you to tell us your story today, and why the research and why the focus on widowhood, because we've had some interactions in the lead up to this, and I'm really interested to hear your story today. So over to you, Dr. Sizakele. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. My name is Sizakele Danke. I'm a lecturer in the Department of Educational Foundations at the University of South Africa. I started the work on widowhood issues because of my personal experiences. This work was born out of pain and curiosity. My husband died in 2012, December 2016. It was the Ngans Day. It was a holiday in South Africa. There were many holidays after that. So yeah, it affected his burial and all that. So what I discovered is that immediately after his passing away, I gained a new title. I became a widow. That led to identity crisis on my side, because I was still referring to myself as Mrs. And then the administrators, where I was submitting forms and other things, They were calling me Miss MS. So the word widow, it comes with a lot of connotations and meaning in our Black societies. So also the word widow, it's got a stigma to us, the Black people. So the other challenge that I experienced also was that I was the first widow in my family. So that, because in that space of widowhood, I had a lot of questions. I didn't have anyone to talk to. It then forced me to move around, look for people who were wearing the morning gowns. And then we started a community around the university. And we also had other ladies from outside the UNISA community who joined us. And then we created this safe space where we could meet and discuss about how our spouses passed away, the treatment we received from our in-laws, families, church communities, and colleagues and friends, of course. So we found that we were treated differently after losing our spouses for different reasons, of course. So to my surprise, I used to think that I was young, but to my surprise, I discovered that the ladies that I was meeting with, they were actually very young compared to me. So I stopped crying after listening to their stories. And also I realized that in that space of widowhood, we end up dealing with different issues. So when I look at the issues that I was dealing with and what they were telling me, I realized that I was actually crying over nothing. So I decided to become strong and then started the community project. In 2019, we celebrated the International Widows Day for the very first time at UNISA. And after that, we never looked back. We had a lot of celebrations after that. But what we also do, we have what we call the research widowhood in Daba, where we bring people who are qualified psychologists, medical doctors, because we want to understand about the problem of widowhood. Why are we feeling so much pain? Why are people rejecting us? Why are people thinking that we've got bad luck and all those things? So we bring these people so that we can understand that actually there is nothing wrong to lose a husband. It's just that God decided, or the Creator, depending on what you believe on, the Creator decided to take him first. But then what we discovered, what we are discovering, even with the research team that I'm working with, is that being a widow, really, it's like being a punishment. It's very common even in our African countries. It doesn't matter where you are. If you are a widow, it's like we are being punished. It's like we are punished for allowing death to take your husband. We are being punished for not dying before the husband. You are also accused as a widow for killing the husband. We know, colleagues, there are people who are killing their husbands. But here, I'm representing the innocent widows, the people who used to love their husband before they die. Now, after the death of the husband, the widow is accused, and then the African cultures and traditions, even religion, there are certain rituals which the widows have to perform. So some of these rituals, they are happening in the private spaces. You don't see, you don't know what has happened there because it's a private space. Remember what our African culture is teaching us: to be quiet and to keep things under the carpet. There are things which I'm not allowed to discuss because they say they belong to the family. But then if you look at these things that you have to hide and not to discuss to the public, you find that they are really humiliating to the widow. They victimize the widow. They also put a stigma to the widow, and they put a lot of pain. Some of the widows, they end up getting sick and dying because of the pain of the things which they are done to them in those private spaces. But because of social media, we have seen some of the things happening on TV, even on there are television programs where they talk about widowhood issues. You can see some of these horrible things that happen to widows. So now we are saying These are here. I just want to highlight some of the horrible things which are done to widows. And this pains me because I've never heard that men go through this. I mean, if it's death, death is just death. It's the same death, it's the same pain. But this one is more because a husband is someone closer to you. If you are still in love, of course, because it also depends how close you were, the relationship you had with this person before he passed away. If you are close, then you are losing a friend, you are losing somebody very close to you, your confidant and all that. But then I want us to look at the horrible things which our African cultures are doing to women. The first thing that they do immediately when they hear that your husband has died, they put you in a secluded place, you sit on a mattress. Even if you have your double bed or queen, you are expected to sit on the floor. And then some they sleep next to the dead husband. Some are forced to have sex with the husband. Some they drink the water which used to wash the dead body of the husband. Some they steam the private parts. This one, it's meant to kill the semen and the blood of the dead person, which is believed that is still running in your body. Women are forced to bath in naked places outside the compound. Whether it's winter or what, the water must be cold. Others are meant to carry eggs between their thighs. If the eggs break, it means they are guilty for killing the husband. Others are forced to sleep on cement without blankets. Others, widows, they lose their valuable assets, TV, land, you name it, even the money which is supposed to take care of the children. The family members will go and claim it in the workspaces and say the widow is mad, she can't come, so they are representing the widow. Then in other cultures, there is what is called sexual cleansing, because the widow is perceived as somebody who is unclean, who's got a dark cloud. So a man in the village is hired to come and have sex with a widow. Sometimes it's a mad person. This pains me, colleagues, because I have never heard that there is a man who goes through all these horrible things that I've just mentioned about. I've never heard that there's a female sexual cleanser out there in the villages where we come from. So what I've seen here, that there are three forces that we can blame for the horrible treatment of widows. It's our traditional cultures and religion. It's our tradition, our cultures, and religion. If you read in the Bible, there are verses which are saying women should be inherited. We've got nice names in our African cultures to justify that. We call it Gungenwa, Siandlu. There are so many. So we're just talking about a woman that is passed from the male family to the other. And then I'm having a problem with this because we are living in a society where there are diseases. What if the widow is sick, is having a sexual disease? And then what if the person who's supposed to inherit the widow is also sick? So what's going to happen to the people who are involved in that triangle? Because then the inheritor is not just sleeping with the widow, you then go back and sleep with the wife. In conclusion, colleagues, I'm saying widows are punished. They are humiliated. They are victimized in the name of culture, in the name of traditions, in the name of religions. We see widows punished for allowing death, as if widows have power to decide who should die between them and their husbands. So in this research that we are doing and the community project that we are doing, we are trying to teach our sisters to know about their marriage contracts, to know about their human rights as they are stipulated in the Constitution, and also to have critical skills of thinking skills of questioning things, because there is no one truth in this world. If you are saying to me, I must wear a black gowns because to show that I've lost my husband, I need to engage with you. Why should I do that? Because that will make me stand out. That will make me vulnerable. I mean, we have tags which are targeting us. We know stories of widows who were targeted and followed because they were wearing these black garments. So Also, colleagues, we are busy with a research project in marginalized communities. I would like to have people in this group who can assist us, who can be our people to lead us in these marginalized communities, because we still want to collect more data on this space. Thank you very much for being a good audience. Thank you.
Ish, Dr. Sizakele, it's really, listening to you and seeing the messages on the chat now about, the terrible things that our widows have to go through. You can keep your camera on if you want to, because we're going to be talking and I'm going to ask if there's any questions from the audience. But I just want to ask the audience as well. You've heard, and I've seen some of your posts that you know of somebody that's gone through it. And it will be really great if you connect to Dr. Sizakele. I mean, Dr. Sizakele, we can put your your email address in the chat so that people can connect with you. But I just wanted to say to you, I think, as women to women, because I think, and you're so right when you say, I've also never heard of a man that had to go through anything that you've actually told us today. Never, ever. But the sad thing is that sometimes women support these type of treatment of the widows. And I think for me, the big thing is how do we change? I know that you're trying to do it through your education side, by educating women to be more informed, to make their own decisions. So when they get married, to know what their rights are, and to ensure that they get that all in place, should they, heaven forbid, lose their partner. But how can we, I think the cultural question is the big question, because how do we then change our culture? That's really what we need to look at from that perspective, which is a very hard question, because that is a huge, huge shift that needs to happen from a mindset perspective. So what do you think we should do?
What I think is that the platform that we are currently having is not big enough for us to address everyone. If maybe we can get a television slot, because this is an interdisciplinary study also. It's an interdisciplinary problem. I'm coming from the adult education. I'm coming from the education space. I need lawyers. In the project, I'm working with lawyers. I'm working with people from the information sciences, people who knows the traditions. So we are so many working together, to discuss these things, because alone I can't do this. So what we need really is having a television platform, having a radio platform where we can bring all these people who can then tell us about what the law sees. Because what we are also seeing is that the law, there is a conflict between the law and the traditions. According to the law, if my husband dies now, I am free. Remember when you take the vows, you are saying till death. Then if he dies, I'm free. I can decide whether I want to marry or I want to mourn this person. And then what people don't understand also is that when their spouse dies, some people will find that they are not even sleeping in the same bedrooms. They're sleeping in your other room. I'm sleeping alone. But then I'm expected to mourn this person, just because we were married, but they don't know what's happening inside our house. So that's the other problem.
So sorry, I just wanted to say we've got somebody that wants to ask you a question. So there's Cornelia from Graan. Cornelia, do you want to come online and just unmute? Thank you.
Good day. Yeah, I'm unmuted. Yes. Well, I don't do any research on this, but I think that we must get in contact, because I'm at the university in Venda, and we started this year. We started a training program where we train traditional leaders on law and on better aspects. And what I'm listening to, I think that that would be a good place to start. If we could get in contact with each other and maybe start at the traditional leaders level so that we can start with educating them, because in Limpopo, where I am, a lot of guidance is taken on treatment is taken from our traditional leaders. So that's my only comment here is we just want to reach out and see if there isn't a way, because we've already had the first successful training, and we've done training on gender-based violence, and we've done education on gender-based violence, and we've done with the police, we've done a whole seminar and conference with students and things on gender-based violence. So I think that if we can just exchange contact details so that we can address this aspect in our training that we give to the traditional leaders.
Thank you very
Okay,
much.
so-
Thank you very much, Cornelia.
Thanks,
Hey,
Cornelia.
I wanted to say, Tiki, the other problem it's the traditions and cultures. The culture is moving. We're in the 21st century now. There are things which were happening in the past which we are no longer doing. But it really amazes me. Why are we still stuck in this culture that is abusing women? I've never seen a man, I'm still saying, wearing a black suit or navy blue suit for 6 months. I've never seen it.
No, neither have I. So just to go back to Cornelia that was on now, Sizakele, I think the idea is also, and this is great, because if we work together, you know what I mean, we have a far better chance of having a greater impact. And I think there's another question for you, and this is sadly the last question we're going to take, because we should have a separate thing just on widowhood, Sizakele. So Sandile, do you want to put your camera on? I don't know if you can, but if you can't, if we can just hear your voice and your question. Sandile and Gubane. Oh, Sandile, your connection is very, very bad. Can you maybe move a little bit, because we would like to hear your question, and if you can't, then we'll have to. Oh, we've just lost you. Okay. So sorry, Sizakele, we've just lost Sandile, because she's gone off, and that's the problem as well, is connectivity. You know, that's a big challenge on our continent, actually, is how do we also train our women, or we get education information to our women, you know, to Priscilla's point earlier on with training from a digital perspective, if we can't connect. So Sizakele, I just want to say thank you for sharing your story today and your work. And this is definitely not the last time we're talking, because as I heard you talking about what help you need and everything, we all need to work together, you know, because we need to support each other as women, and we need to try and bring about change. And I just want to say thank you for your work, and thank you for caring about our widows at the level that you do. And please keep up the good work, and God bless. And thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so that was, I mean, very, very sad, you know, when I listened to Dr. Sizakele speaking about that. And I just also want to say to all of us on this call today, you know, woman to woman, we need to support each other. If somebody loses a loved one, her husband, she's heartbroken, don't change your attitude towards her. Don't buy into what is, you know, what is being dictated. Try and push against it, and try and help others. So now we are moving to Cameroon, and welcome to Kate Mwambu. And Kate is fondly called Kath. I think that's the right pronunciation. Kath is a student at the University of Buea in Cameroon, and holds a Bachelor's of Science and Associate degree in Oil and Gas Engineering, and a host of other professional certifications. Kate, can you put your camera on? But if it's better for you to have it off, it's also good. There she is. So Kate is a tech enthusiast and a mentor for other young women, as she's passionate about seeing more women in science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. And it was so funny, Kate, when I heard Lena talk about STEM as well this morning. So there's obviously a need. And we all know that women are underrepresented in STEM. And I think that I was looking at some research, Kate, and I just saw that also there's this gender discrimination, and there's gender bias from a career perspective as well for women in STEM. So I just want you to tell us a little bit about your work and to touch on what you're doing from a STEM perspective, because I know you do lots of other things as well. So just want to say thank you so much for being here today. And please, over to you to tell your story. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you, Teki. Thank you, Shared Value Initiative. Thank you. It's Not Okay movement for the opportunity to lend my voice through this brilliant initiative of you all. My name is Kate, and I'm an alumni from the University of Buea, Cameroon, and I'm from the English-speaking part of Cameroon, and I have an associate degree in oil and gas engineering. Well, my story stems from the fact that I noticed a lot of shortcomings when it comes to women representation in STEM, especially when it comes to my part of the country. I would say that because that's where I grew, and I see everything, I notice everything. Coupled with associations that I belong to or no representation of women in the fields of STEM. So with that in mind, after volunteering for international NGO that was focused on youth activities, I took it upon myself to be the hummingbird. I decided to start doing my beats at my own end. So I came up with, first of all, I went for a mentorship program organized by STEMI Women Community. The CEO and founder is Amanda Chepi from Nigeria. So it was hosting women from all across Africa and the MENA regions. So after that, I was paired with my mentor from Zambia, Dr. Namumba. She's the first Zambian to have a PhD in petrophysics. After that mentorship journey, there was a lot that came clear for me. It helped me pave the way for my dreams, for my visions to advocate for STEM in my community. I now went forward. I'm currently working on a STEMic clothing brand. I call it STEMic clothing. It's a clothing brand for women and girls in Africa. And we're just a small team of 6 ladies who are mechanical engineers and logisticians. We're looking at using proceeds that we're going to get from that clothing brand to sponsor or send first generation women and girls into the university. So we're currently working on that, and so far so good. With the help of my mentor and other persons, we've been having a good time, and we've been learning a lot through the process. So yeah, basically that's what I do to advocate for STEM. And I also mentor students that are in the university while offering computer sciences. I take them on a mentorship journey on which I learn from them and they learn from me. So I know it's but little, but I know I still have a long way to go. I have a lot of things that I'm also trying to do to make sure that I've started with just two mentees, but with time I'm going to officially open the opportunity for a whole lot of women and girls in my community. So I think that's what I've been doing to advocate STEM. I've also been joining other organizations to lend my voice as far as STEM advocacy is concerned in my region. And trust me, I've been having some amazing feedbacks, and the students that I currently mentor, they've been doing amazing, and they've been trying to get people to come and then join us for the mentorship program. But I've just kept it on a hold, and I'm still working to get myself to give myself that weight to be able to get more people, more young girls and women in STEM to be mentored. So thank you very much.
Thank you for that. Thank you for that, Kate. And I think you just listen to it. Mechanical engineers becoming clothing designers. That is what the world is about today, because we don't have to stay in one lane. We can go into different lanes. And that's the beauty of what you do. And I also love you referring to the hummingbird and in the work that you do. That was really nice. What I wanted to ask you, because I think also what I want to say to everybody that's on this call today, if you asked to become a mentor, please say yes, because not only do you part with your knowledge to somebody else, but you also learn a lot from that young individual that you're mentoring. Not so, Kate?
That's right, absolutely.
Yeah, because I think you know, from a mentoring perspective as well, and I think it was in some of the discussions we had, is how you've seen some of these young girls actually becoming more confident from a STEM perspective. So,
Exactly.
so yeah, and I think for me, what we have to realize is that we also have to give back, you know, and that's what we have to do as individuals, and as women as well. I wanted to ask you from your STEM, you know, your mentorship with the students from a STEM perspective. Do you have an example maybe of one of them that really went on to you know, to go and do, you know, achieve something big, like yourself, I guess, because you were a STEM student? Because I think you have so many, as I say, you've got so many balls, because I know you're also working as well at the moment while you're studying and all of that. So tell us a little bit about that.
Okay, thank you, Teki. Like I said, right, this mentorship program, I started for, it's almost going to a year, and I've had amazing feedback from the ladies I'm mentoring. First, they've taken their studies more seriously, because we met at a tech event. And then they walk up to me. I was one of the participants of the event. They walk up to me and they were like, "Ma, can we talk to you?" And then they started telling me the issues. Sometimes they don't feel confident while in class because all the guys are there. They're making fun of them. They want to say things and they boo at them, all those things. So their confidence level was down, and at some point they felt like they should give up. They should switch their courses at the university. Maybe they should go to a more feminine kind of thing, you know, maybe to the social sciences or whatsoever. But I saw the need and I understood, because at some point in my career as well, I felt lost too, and that is why I don't take mentorship programs. I don't play with mentorship programs, because I know from a point I was lost. I felt I mean, when I turned behind, I didn't have anybody to look at. I was just forging ahead, and then I had so many difficulties. I had to fight to gain a voice. I was always quiet, always, you know, reserved. I don't have that confidence to talk out, even when I'm right. So I felt their pain. I could really relate with them, and that's how we started the journey. It's been documented and everything. They've been doing amazingly well. They have more confidence. They show me their certifications that they have every time. They've been able to get themselves certifications for that is related to technology, left and right. Their LinkedIn pages are beefed up, because I told them the importance of having a LinkedIn page, and I mean, amongst other things. So they've been focused and their grades have been better. Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, so thank you for that, Kate, and for all the work that you do with these young girls to try and get more women into STEM. And I want to say good luck with your clothing line, and send us some photos. You never know, you know, we might be able to get some people to support it from here. But thank you very, very, very much for participating today. And please share your website. You see, somebody's asking to share your website and your clothing line if you have got one on the chat. So please do
Oh
that.
my goodness,
Okay.
that's
you.
brilliant.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thanks, Kate. Okay, so now we are going to Rwanda, and we've got a young man with us, Sylvester Weekes. And Sylvester, can Sylvester put his camera on? Because I'm not sure. I know you might have some problems with your data, but it's okay if you can just speak, or if you can just say hello, then we can put your camera off. So Sylvester is currently in his final year at the African Leadership University. He's pursuing a BA in International Business and Trade. And Sylvester is determined to create change in his community globally. And you know, we've had so many discussions, and he's the founder and executive director of Weekes Foundation. And they're doing amazing work in Rwanda because they're educating teenagers on sexual reproduction and health rights. And I just want to welcome Sylvester here. He's got a little bit of a connectivity problem, so I don't think he's going to put his camera on. But Sylvester, you need to put your speaker on so that we can hear you talk, because we want to hear about the Weekes Foundation and the work that you do. Sylvester?
Yes, I can hear you. Thank you so much,
you.
everyone. Thank you so much, Tiki, and the team for, putting together the effort to have all of us here. So I hope you guys can hear me loud and clear. Hello?
Yes, all good. Thank you, Sylvester.
All right, great. So my name is Sylvester Philip Weekes. I'm originally from Freetown, Sierra Leone, currently residing in Kigali City, Rwanda. Passionate about community development and women empowerment. I'm in my final year at the African Leadership University, pursuing a degree program in International Business and Trade. So let me give a brief background about myself and about how I come to form the Weekes Foundation. So actually, I grew up in a beautiful community called Tengbetan community, one of the biggest informal settlement area in Freetown, Sierra Leone, where we have so much teenage pregnancy, drug abuse, and domestic violence circulating in the community. So for me, you can find it like it's an oxymoron for me to, use all the disrupting activities in my community and beauty at the same time in the sentence. However, I use beauty because I see many problems in my community as an opportunity for me to think outside the box and bring solutions that will change my life and those around me. So when I was growing up, I tried to identify some of the root causes that lead to like teenage pregnancy, the early teenage pregnancy, and sexual violence and all. So I understand that there is limited access to information on sexual reproductive health education and barriers to reproductive health service among adolescents, young girls, and adults in my community. And also, I noticed girls from underserved background fall victim to teenage pregnancy as they involve into sexual relationship with the hope of partners offering them financial support. They use that as a bait against them. And also, I look at the silence of the culture of silence in different communities in Freetown, Sierra Leone, wherein one can impregnate a girl just because it's a family member, or is a high reputable person in the society. Oh, we cannot talk, we cannot even challenge you, all these things. So I was looking way forward, how can I bring solution towards what is happening, more especially, with women and girls? Because at some point I come from a single parent background where my mother had to play a double role of being a mother and a father at the same time. I know life was not easy, but our determination to ensure my siblings and I had enough for survival made me see life from different angles. So I'm looking about some of these girls have ambition. They have dreams. So what can I do to see how best I can, support or help to combat this problem? So I'm the founder of the Weekes Foundation. And my leadership and passion for change made a way for me to be admitted at the African Leadership University, where I'm currently pursuing my degree program. So the Weekes Foundation was founded in 2017, And it's an initiative that focuses on combating teenage pregnancy by empowering teenage girls from age 15 to 19 with the right tools and information to help them make an informed decision about their sexual life. And also my goal is to ensure I create a community of well-informed youth on sexual reproductive health and rights, and to combat teenage pregnancy in Sierra Leone by reducing the rates by 28% to 10% and empowering 300,000 girls by 2030 and achieve gender equality in my community and the global space. So far, my major accomplishment is when I found the Wicks Foundation. And initially, the foundation was started to combat the rate of adolescent pregnancy and educate adolescent girls. And since 2021 up to now, it's doing well. And we create awareness on adolescent pregnancy in Freetown and managed to educate 1,500 adolescent girls and boys. We managed to do community sensitization wherein we educate parents and guardians, which are 600, both male and female, and community leaders on sexual reproductive health and rights. And in the implementation of our community outreach, we realized that the gap among youth who are lack 21st century skills as well, like the leadership, entrepreneurship, career development, and more. Hence, we forge ahead to develop a curriculum wherein we create a career development program in different schools, where we collaborate with influential women in our society to come on board to go to these different schools, talk to these girls and tell them about their challenges they face during their childhood and how they come about it. And, some of these girls also will be a mentee to these influential women that will be a mentor to them. And, aspire for your career. What do you want to be after high school? So we start giving them mentorship program, collaborate with teachers from different schools, have like info session, career symposium as well. For me, I'm at the African Leadership University, help some people how to apply to my university or different university out there, how to develop resume, cover letter to give them the soft skills. Because what I noticed about independent youth that will be equipped with the necessary skills to access opportunities that enable them to drive positive change in society as well. Not only me giving them the right educational tool about sexual reproductive health and right, but ensure also they should be well equipped with these different skills. So what we do at the Wicks Foundation, we have like a 3 framework that we use to address these issues. One, which is educating the adolescent girls and parents, 2, career preparedness in different schools, and hands-on skills. So talking about the hands-on skills is wherein some of these girls from underserved background has fallen victim, and based on community stigmatization, they don't want to go back to school. So we create an initiative for them wherein we learn them skills, like bring different people on board to teach them like hands-on skills, like how to sew reusable pad, do different things. Then after the training, we will ensure that we buy for them different machines that they will use to look after themselves by sewing reusable pad and sell to the community for them to ensure that they can be well sustainable, so perpetrator will not come against them again in a way of I will give you money just for them to get there. At the end of the day, they lie to them again and take advantage of them. So they can be well sustainable and no one can come around them again to do something that will help make them go into regret or start having child out of wedlock. So these are things mostly we do for the Wicks Foundation as well with my team. Thank you.
So Sylvester, I just want to say I'm really inspired, because I think for us, if you look at our speakers today, they were all females. I think, and when we did this call out, to say, we did a call out actually to say, would people like to come and tell their story from different universities? I think you were one of the few males, and I want to say thank you for answering that. And I also want to say thank you for the work that you do, with young girls. I just have one quick question for you because I'm just weary of the time. Sylvester, I want to ask you, as a young male, what was the initial attitude of people and particularly your peers when you started this foundation? What did they say when you decided to start the Wicks Foundation, to educate teenagers on sexual reproduction and health? Just if you can answer that for me quickly. Was it positive? Was it negative? What did they say?
So actually, when I engage or when I embark on this journey, you know, most of my peers, they start looking, how can you be doing things? End of the day, I believe this is it's a woman thing and all. So, but most of them do not know where, you know, where this thing draw from, like why I'm so interested in this and why I'm determined to forge further. And most of them feedback helps me for me to understand myself better, other than, you know, listen to them for me to fall back, because they do not understand exactly the situation and why I'm determined to, you know, bring solution to combat these challenges. Because some of my peers, you know, we were going to the same different high school, but they were well off. Some of them, they live in a community where they are lack of some of this experience and all. So, you know, they do not understand why Sylvester is into this, and why Sylvester is even like putting his all to ensure that, you know, he tries to solve this thing. Like at some point, you know, people look at me be like, no, how far this can go with you, right? Or how far you can see people can listen to you, a man, that you're preaching for a change for a woman, or you just want to have attention from women. And all. I said, no, at least I haven't had all the attention I want from a woman, which is my mom, and she believed in me and she encouraged me to do what I'm doing. And I'm doing this not because I'm seeing other people are doing it, but I understand the situation back at home and ensure that my voice, I can add my voice to the change, and I can be the change I want to see by start doing what I believe that will solve all this issue. Yes.
Thank you. Thank you, Sylvester. And I want to say thank you for being here today. I know you had some challenges, and I want to say, please keep up the good work. And I'm sure we are going to talk lots in the future. And thank you for the work that you do.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you, Sylvester. So now we're coming back to South Africa, and this will be our last speaker today before we closes off for us. And please allow me to introduce Prof. Evelyn Chuluwane Tsoka. I hope I pronounced that correctly, Evelyn, from the University of South Africa. And Evelyn is currently a professor of entrepreneurship in the School of Public and Operations Management Science at UNISA. But today is more about Evelyn's other calling, and being a founding member and apostle of the True Grace Embassy International. Evelyn is going to share her story today about maybe a little bit about the prejudice and the stereotyping, as Evelyn had to face that from men and women in a journey to become a female pastor. And Evelyn's purpose for me says it all, because it is, as you can see behind her there, to transforming people's mindsets through God's word. And Evelyn, I want to ask you to tell us a little bit about your journey, because we know that you know, women taking on leading roles in faith organizations is not that acceptable. So over to you, Evelyn, to tell us your story, and thank you for being here, and thank you also for the work that you do.
Yeah, thank you, Program Chair, for introducing on True Grace of True Grace Embassy. Personally, I'm passionate about my faith, because I wanted to fulfill the purpose for which I was called. And when I started True Grace Embassy, little did I know that in the church, there was so much traditions and there was so much cultures, so male dominated, patriarchy at its best. And it wasn't easy. And I know that people talk about such things, but outside, there is so much inequalities in the church. And in the church, if we look at it, when I started, there was no guideline, there was no blueprint. it was either you sink or you swim, no structural support. Now, what was eminent was that if we keep on being silent without breaking it, confronting this patriarchy in the church, we would not be able to sustain the young generation that are coming. Therefore, my voice mattered most, and the voice of other women that are also speaking in the same voice as the female pastors. And for that, I realized that it is not okay when a woman or a female pastor takes the pulpit, because it's not perceived correctly so. And I had to think about a strategy of transforming a mindset of people and addressing the masculinity within the church. But that was not easy. It came with a lot of challenges. One of the challenges was that patriarchy was a pyramid scheme, which was intended to silence women. And if women are silenced, this gender abuse and gender inequalities continue to be perpetrated because we are silenced. Secondly, women themselves are not speaking in one voice. We don't see each other from the point of strength. We look at each other from the point of competition. And that reduced us and nullifies the system within which we need to operate. Pastors' wives are not welcoming. When you come as a female pastor and you come from, you are divorced or maybe widowed, single, there's a lot of conglomeration that affect a woman when, or a female when is pastor in the church. Secondly, or thirdly so, I realized that when you are a female pastor, you have little support from our male counterpart. Little support. It's exhausting. Don't talk about these issues. Don't support her. She doesn't know what she's doing. And that has been a weakening system in my journey as a female pastor. And but one of the things that I'm saying or I'm lobbying is that we had to come up with the strategies. We couldn't just sit as True Grace Embassy. Now, one of the strategies was to create a network umbrella, because from the male perspective, it's not easy to enjoy where we can speak with one voice with them. So I network with institutions or organizations such as Yana, You Are Not Alone, is a support structure that is within our space. Not only that, we also look at a woman desk in the church. What we did was, now let's go to the woman desk. Let us call speakers, the speakers from both, because we need an inclusive approach. An inclusive approach, if we want to experience peace and security, we need an inclusive approach. Therefore, in the ministry, what we do, all boys, girls, mothers, fathers, females, males from all angles, our community, we speak from one platform. We empower people from one platform, that it is not okay when women are pastors. And one of the things that we also do, our education agenda is very, very strong. It's one of the strong wheel that we have that drives our young people. True Grace Embassy is a ministry that has called many young people together. So mentoring the young ones is very important. Passing the baton to the young ones is very important. Now, what we looked at it is, what else do we do? We look at, maybe as we speak from the point of empowerment, making gender inequalities, making gender-based violence, advocating it within the church, in our structures. Because when the community is happy, remember the church gets its members from the community. So if the community is not correct, the church won't be correct. So we find out that confronting these issues from the church perspective of gender inequality and of gender-based violence, because it is happening, it is there, it's alive, it's real in the church. But the patriarchy says due to silence people. Now, in my approach in speaking and becoming loud and advocating it, I sort of pray that we become to create an ecosystem that we speak with the government, we speak with universities, we speak with other church members so that we can speak loud and clear. As Martin Luther King says, the time is right, always to do what is right. In my final is that I need to say, we need a collaboration. We need other people to buy in our ministry. We need to pilot it even in the provinces, even across the borders of this continent, that we may say, it is time that the church needs to be strong and to stand up. Thank you, Tiki. Can I go back to you?
Thank you, Prof. Evelyn. I think for me, when we spoke about it initially, you said, is it going to be okay to talk about faith? And I think, we know that on the Africa continent, we're all strong within our faith. And I want to say thank you for the work that you do, specifically from a woman perspective, because I do think that it's very much a patriarchal society, from that perspective. And I think that we need to create a more inclusive society, more inclusive communities as well. And I think in some of the discussions that we had, Prof. Evelyn even mentioned, that the problem that she faced at times with being discriminated against was coming from women, and I think that we as women, always have to ask ourselves from a prejudice and stereotyping perspective, almost like taking a step back every time before you make that judgment call, to just think about what you are thinking, actually. And then just one more thing that I want to say, Prof. Evelyn, I, like you, believe in the power of the collective. And I think that also, as I think it was Priscilla or Kate that was talking about the hummingbird, I want to thank you for being a hummingbird as far as women in the church is concerned. And thank you for the work that you do. I don't know if there's any questions from the audience for Prof. Evelyn. I can't see any hands at this stage, but I want to say thank you very much, Evelyn, for being part of this today, and thank you for the work that you do. Okay, so we now sort of come to the end, and I want to thank all the speakers. I don't know about you, but I'm totally in awe of the work that they do across the different universities by these amazing individuals. And I strongly believe that today we were all brought here by a higher power that has tasked all of us that's here to take up our responsibility and work together to help each other and to help our women and children that are exposed every single day to gender inequality and gender-based violence, because we know, all of us on here, that it's not okay. So let's unite today and every day, and in the words of the late Ban Ki-moon, violence against women is never acceptable, never excusable, and never tolerable. I wish you all a blessed 16 days of activism, and I'm going to hand you over to my fellow colleague and fellow director, Vuyo Lutseke. Are you there, Vuyo? And Vuyo, like me, is driven and passionate about, firstly, shifting mindsets and advocating for gender equality in society and in the workplace. And secondly, she's as passionate to support the fight to eradicate gender-based violence in society and the workplace. And thank you, Vuyo, for helping to take this work forward from an It's Not Okay perspective. I know that we're both passionate about the It's Not Okay movement. So I'm going to hand over to Vuyo, and I'm going to wish you all a really blessed Friday. And thank you all for being here today. Over to you, Vuyo. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Tiki. Thank you. I mean, I guess also to everyone who was part of today's gathering, today's meeting. It's always great when you not only have a great selection of speakers and presenters, but also an engaged, I want to say attendee and audience who really want to get more information, who really want to connect. And that is why we do what we do, to connect those who can with those who also can or want to do more. But before we even get to wrapping up today, I want to take just 1 minute of everyone's time here to please share a poll, if you don't mind, Zinia. So what we would love to hear is just to hear your thoughts and perspectives. I mean, this African Universities Gender Equality Forum, this is the third one that we've convened since we launched this platform in 2021. And we want to continue to gather and convene, those who participants and interested, but also do so in a way that will give you the best benefit of your time. We don't take for granted how much it is a commitment to be here for this. So we're going to ask a few questions. The first of which is, from your perspective, are academic institutions and the private sector organizations doing enough to address gender inequality? The first question is about gender inequality within those sectors. Just really quickly answer yes, no, or not sure. The second one really then focuses a little bit more on gender-based violence. Of course, this forum, while it speaks to everyone, it is to provide platform to academia and academic institutions. So really wanting to hear from your perspectives and understanding, should GBV be more directly addressed on campuses across the continent? Again, yes, no, or not sure. And then the third question is then really around the formats that we had today's session, right? So really providing a platform for sharing and information sharing and connecting, I guess, with case studies, right? So would you like to hear more case studies that speak to how gender inequality and GBV are addressed by academics? Yes, no, I'm not sure. And then the final question really for us is, it's always about not just talking, but having action, right, as an outcome of the talk. So for us as SVAI, I would love to hear your thoughts. Would you be interested in a toolkit that can help guide organizations in addressing gender inequality and GBV? Do you think that's something that could, hopefully help in your environment to not just self-assess, but maybe help guide you on the next steps? Is that something that you would be interested in? So we're going to take just, maybe like 5 more seconds, and I don't know how the responses are coming, to just hear your thoughts and perspectives. And this for us is information that helps us as we plan our future forums and our future sessions, and it will really help us have more direction in that. So that feedback is absolutely appreciated. So I'm going to just take a little bit more of your time to just really say a quick word of thank you to our speakers and our presenters today. Lena, Priscilla, Evelyn, Sylvester, Sizagele, of course, Kate. I think for me, what I found quite inspiring and moving was, everyone who spoke about witnessing or experiencing something in their environment, socially, professionally, and otherwise, that really is what spurred you to act, right? Going back, I think our great theme today is, being the hummingbird. And thank you, Lena, for sharing that great video for us, with us. And I think that idea of, we can all be a hummingbird. We can all be a hummingbird in our environment and do what we can. And I think also what also demonstrates is that when you start to do, though, there are others who will join you, because it really also goes to show that we are not alone, right? So I think for me, it really is to commend everyone who's really, what we know is not an easy journey that you've all been on, but to be able to start where you can. And now we're building more and more of this community that is working together to advance this. And I want to thank Diki for moderating our session today. And I think also, Diki, your leadership in this, I want to use a very dramatic word, which is war, but I believe that is what we're in right now, in terms of continuing to find ways to not be silent or not, even with challenges, what we aim to do through It's Not Okay is continuously find ways to connect with like-minded organizations and individuals to continue with this fight, right, in this war. And while we are experiencing and fighting many battles where we win some and we unfortunately lose some, we have a long way to go, right? We have a long way to go to protect those who are marginalized, discarded, victimized, silenced within our society. And while today is the first day of 16 days of activism against violence against women and children, I think within our language and also being cognizant of the fact that I want to say our terminology, right, of course, is inclusive of all those who, however they may identify, who are still victimized and marginalized in our society. So we must always keep that in mind as well. And this is an annual campaign that we know, but it's clear that there's so much more that needs to be done. And that's why we still in 2022 are having this conversation. And this is why us through the hashtag It's Not Okay movement continue to create these platforms, as I mentioned earlier, engaging with various sectors of our society. Everyone can play a role. Every single person can play a role to affect at least one life in your society, community, or environment. And through It's Not Okay, we want to continuously make us all aware of our power and our own voices in doing so. So be part of the conversation. Log on to, our website, itsnotok.africa, where you can get information as well as tools to download, as well as artwork to download to have your voice be part of this. We're starting 16 days of activism today, but this is a 365-day fight and challenge that we all need to continuously participate in and not cast aside when inconvenient to us all. Thank you to all of you as our attendees today. Keep in touch. We're sharing a lot of information in the chat. And I think for us, should you be interested in participating in future, absolutely reach out to us. If you've got any feedback or thoughts or insights that you want to share with the broader audience, keep in touch with us, because as we curate the next forum, we are going to keep you all updated. So go to svi.africa, sign up to our newsletter, and we'll keep you in our mailing list as we curate the next Gender Equality Forum, but also other platforms that we continue to create as the Shared Value Africa Initiative community and organizations. Thank you so much, everyone. Have a wonderful, wonderful day further. And please, as we said, keep your energy, keep the fight going, and we look forward to connecting with you further. Thank you.